800-230-2777. 800-230-2777.
Spend your middays with us, Rick and Bubba. We're on WGNS each weekday from noon till 2 on News Radio WGNS.
The Good Neighbor Network, FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, and online at WGNSradio.com. This is the Roundtable. A look at the news, views, politics, and people that are shaping Rutherford County.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to WGNS, the Roundtable, and this is the thrilling Thursday morning. We've got a truly exciting program this morning. In fact, I wish one of our guests could actually be talking to you, but her name is Friday, although today's Thursday, but as long as she knows it's Friday, we're okay. We have two lovely young ladies here, Vicki Baldwin from the Healing Cypress Massage and Wellness right here in Murfreesboro, and Karen Armsey, okay, and she's from the Human Animal Board of Tennessee, known as Habit. And they're going to be talking about and visiting about how animals can play such a wonderful role in the emotional, psychological, and well-being, mental well-being of us. So good morning, ladies.
Good morning. Good morning.
I'd like to always start with you, Vicki. Mm-hmm. Give us the background, where you were born, how you got into this, life, how it developed, and then we'll have Karen's journey.
Okay. I was born in East Tennessee originally, actually, Jefferson City, but only lived there for 6 months when my dad was in college and then moved to Georgia. So I count myself as being from Georgia. Mm-hmm. My family is still there.
What part?
Cartersville.
Oh, okay.
Calhoun, Dalton, all around that North
Coming
Georgia.
down 75.
Yeah, all the carpet mills, that area. So they're all still down there. But I came to East Tennessee to go to college at Carson Newman University.
Yep.
East Tennessee, and just kind of never left Tennessee. So I'm still here. I majored in communications and journalism and broadcasting.
Oh, well, you should feel at home.
Yes.
Feel at home.
Very at home, yeah. And then I spent 25-ish years in nonprofit fundraising.
What particular organizations were you with?
I've been with Alzheimer's Association, Muscular Dystrophy. Locally here, I've been with Journeys in Community Living. And is there anybody? Cumberland Heights in Nashville.
Okay, so you've had some pretty interesting challenges.
Wow. Yeah. And now I'm working a little bit from home and working part-time with Healing Cypress Massage and Wellness. And
after we hear from Karen, I want to hear what led into the Healing Group and what's its objectives and mission and support and assistance to so many people. Karen, where were you born?
I was raised in Virginia. I'm Wise County, Virginia, so I'm a hillbilly.
Okay.
And lived there until I graduated college, and then moved to Tennessee because the jobs needed you go where the money is.
Exactly.
So I worked in human health for about 16 years. Became a volunteer with the Habit program. And then when this job became available, they thankfully hired me, and I've been doing this job for about 17 years now.
Wow. All right. Tell us about the organizations. This young lady that you brought in Friday, if you're not looking, I might take her home.
I know. Right?
This is the ideal pup that everybody should have. It's the ideal pup that you rush home to after work. She sits on your lap, and probably does more than music and more than anything else. So tell us how your organization began, and both of you. And
I'll let her talk about the organization and then
chat in.
Yeah,
sure.
So we were started about 30 years ago. We are an outreach program at the University of Tennessee's College of Veterinary Medicine. Our founders knew that there was pain out there in the world, and they had a very easy way to help people deal with that pain, and that was our pets. So we started with dogs, and then we added one very drooly cat, and now we have dogs, cats, and rabbits in our program, and we are in about 140 different locations And
Throughout the nation?
no, just
Oh,
in
just
Tennessee,
Tennessee.
in East
Wow.
and Middle Tennessee.
That's very comprehensive.
And we have about 400 volunteer teams. So we have a lot of people out there in the world making the world a little bit better, one visit at a time.
So, talk about the visit. You're visiting nursing homes. You're visiting hospitals.
We are. We do nursing homes, hospitals, cancer treatment programs, schools, both regular and special education, pre-K through high school. Some of my favorite visits are with first responders. So back in Knoxville, I work with KPD. I work with the Sheriff's Department. We also have dogs going in with the 911 call centers because we just don't think about the stress that first line responder goes through. And so we have dogs that go visit them during the week, and it helps them deal with that stress. And we just want to make the world a little bit less stressful. The presence of an animal has been shown to decrease stress hormones and help people deal better with life. So we just bring our animals in, we visit for about an hour, and then we leave, and hopefully we're leaving the good mojo behind us as we go.
It would almost appear, and I just off the top of my head, that somebody going through a death, passing of a loved one, wouldn't the dog be a great comfort to them?
It would. And there are some funeral homes in the nation who have started having therapy dogs in the building. And so they help them when they're making the calls, trying to figure out everything from what casket to use to when the service will be. And the dogs really make a difference. It's just kind of breathtaking how something so
absolutely.
simple. I mean, when you walked up the stairs this morning,
Smile.
I saw your smile.
Oh,
That was the first thing.
absolutely. Oh, well,
That face was at the top of the
after
stairs.
all, most of you are not seeing the show and just listening to it, but I have had dogs, loved dogs all my life. But this one is a very special. It just suddenly makes a friend immediately.
And that's really amazing is like we'll be in an elevator and the elevator opens up, and the smiles that happen when that elevator door opens up really just can make a difference in their day and in ours, because I say I'm the most selfish person in the world because I get the joy of seeing people do the work, and it's not me doing the work. My job is a driver. I make sure that my dog gets to go where she needs to be.
Right.
And I live off her glory.
That's exactly what. That's funny. At St. Thomas Hospital, we visit every Friday because her name's Friday.
Oh, here's Friday.
But yeah, I don't do any. I tell everybody I don't do anything. I'm her chauffeur. That's what I'm her chauffeur. That's it. She has an ID badge with her picture on it for the hospital. Everybody there knows her. I know fully that I could get her there, put her on any floor on that hospital, and leave her there and go have lunch.
Maybe
She'd be
that's what we
fine.
need is like caps, driver's caps.
Right.
That
Yes.
have the logo.
She'd be
Right.
roaming around visiting.
And she knows
Yep.
that place so well that I don't even have to lead her anywhere anymore. She knows exactly how to get to every single place that we visit. And, I'm just her chauffeur.
Yeah.
She does all the work. I'm
Let's
just
start
there.
at the beginning. How do you locate a dog that is going to be very compatible? I don't think every dog has
No.
the emotional intelligence or the emotional standing. How do you select? Where do you select? What have been some of the experiences of selecting candidates who will be great winners?
Our volunteers come from the public, and they have a great animal that they would like to share with other people. And so they've contacted the office. There's a new volunteer video that they need to watch, and there's an evaluation that the animal has to go through. There's a medical evaluation that their veterinarian has to do, because really the most stress most pets get is at the vets. Most
sure, the
and-
uncertainty.
Yeah, they go in, they get scared. And so if they're going to behave well at the vets, we kind of have a good idea that they're going to be a great animal to visit. And then there's a behavioral evaluation that's done by one of our volunteers. And what we're doing is we're looking to see, how does the dog do with strangers? Do they care that there's another person in the room? Because just because I have a dog that I think is amazing, she's amazing to me, but that doesn't mean she's amazing to other people. She walks into a room, she looks at me as her whole world. She doesn't care. But if I have a dog, like my best dog, I always say I could be on the ground having a seizure, and she would look at me like, you are stressing out these people. You need to stop.
So she
So-
doesn't do first aid.
She does not care about me. She cares about everyone else.
Everybody's feelings.
Yeah. So we're looking for dogs that, like people, have the heart for the work.
Well, we'll be saying this later, but this is certainly a good time to say now. How does well, first of all, describe if there's such a thing as an ideal candidate, an individual, a person, somebody who has a dog, wants to share the dog through the nonprofit. What are you looking for in terms of a person, and how do they reach out to you to say, hey, that's something I'd like to talk to you about?
You know, Vicky's a prime example. She came into us feet first. She just started swimming, and she came into the program. She likes people, just like the dogs. We want the humans to like people, and like to go into new environments and meet new people. I often throw my husband under the bus on this one. I thought this would be a great thing for us to do as a couple. Yay, we have two
sure.
great dogs. Let's do this. Well, my husband, bless him, is an engineer. And so he was not comfortable going into strange situations, meeting strangers. And so it just wasn't his thing. So I now call him a habit honey. So he gets to carry stuff and tote stuff.
I need one of
Sounds
those.
familiar.
It's amazing. And so that's his job in habit. He doesn't make the visits. So we're looking for people that can meet a stranger where they are, not where we want them to be.
So the person goes with the dog.
Yep.
Do you ever take the dog and the person has a chance to go shopping or doing
Nope.
something?
No.
Oh,
Nope.
so it's not a
No.
baby. It's not a dog setting service.
It is not. So,
Okay.
although there are some people that have dogs that are loner dogs, and these are dogs that are okay with anybody and will follow anybody's commands, but they're few and far between. But no, Vicky takes Friday on their visits, and no one else handles that leash but Vicky. We want to know we've got control of those animals at all times, just to make sure that everybody is safe.
Right.
We don't want anything to happen to the people we're visiting, and we don't
Exactly.
want anything to happen to the dog.
Yeah.
Now you go to schools, as I understand. What happens when a child gets very excited? A small child. Does that concern Friday or concern any of the dogs that the
She-
child is screaming? Not
know-
negatively, just so
Just
excited.
Just
squealing,
screaming in
yeah.
general.
Yes.
I remember the evaluation that Habit did when I first started. One of the they like dropped a tray or something, and they Friday was allowed to obviously react to it, but not freak out. And so yeah, if she hears at the hospital when we're visiting, if there's a family waiting room and there's a baby crying, she'll react, but she'll react by just tilting her head and being like, "What's that?" That's okay. She just can't like bark and freak
Yeah.
out and run away.
Well,
And sometimes the dogs are better than the humans
Oh,
with kids.
absolutely.
Because I'll be honest, I am not a kid person.
okay.
Never thought
Me
I'd
either.
be a teacher. Never. I don't
But you
even
have
have
7
kids.
dogs.
I've got 7 dogs.
Yes,
No
yes.
baby humans. And so my dog is one of those loner dogs because she's great with kids. So I'm like, go get your kid thing out. Have fun.
Yeah.
And then she
Gotcha.
comes back and take a nap, and I don't have to deal with
Yeah,
it.
I'll just be right here waiting. Yeah.
Walk us
Yeah.
through it. I'm just going to put myself in the situation. Unfortunately, I don't have a dog at this time. We had to put her down 2 years
Oh,
ago,
I'm so
16
sorry.
years of age.
Oh,
I still think of her.
Yeah.
Of
I
course.
still think of her when I drive, and this was not legal, but I drove with her on my lap.
Gotcha.
I'm hoping
For
she was a
those in the
small
law
dog.
enforcement, a very small,
Okay.
15,
You're right.
No, oh, if I had an 80 pound
Big
dog
golden-
on my lap, that might be a slight problem. So I call you, walk me through from the time I call you and say, hey, I heard you in WGNS. That sounds totally different. It's a chance for me to give back to the community without necessarily writing a check. Tell me, what's my next step?
Now,
What-
if they want to write a check, we'll take the check too.
You don't say no to that.
Still a nonprofit.
Yeah, it's still nonprofit. So what they would do is they will contact me either by email or calling, but everybody emails these days. And then I'll send them the link to the new volunteer video. Then they send me back what we call the magic word. So it's a word that they've heard in the video that lets me know that they watched the video. And then I will send them forms, and the forms give me an application for the human and then a behavior history background for the dog, so we kind of know where they got the dog, what the dog has been involved in, and then a medical form that's filled out by their veterinarian. So that lets me know if they're healthy, are they healthy enough to make the visits, how do they deal with the stress of the visit, and that kind of thing. once we get those forms back in, then we send them to the person that does the behavior evaluation. They go through all these steps of dropping a plate to see how the dog handles sounds, walking up on a walker to see how they handle strange walking situations, talking loudly. Can they handle people with raised voices? Sometimes we do hard petting because people just don't know what they're doing.
Especially in nursing homes.
Yeah.
Older people tend to kind of
That
head
bang.
like this.
Yeah. And then we'll bang on the
yeah.
dog's head. The dog's just blinking.
Right.
So we want to see how the dog's going to handle that. And
Sure.
just like with Friday, we don't want a bomb-proof dog. We want a dog that, something happened, but then come back to say, well, my owner's okay, so I'm not going to stress out about it.
Yeah, like she reacts. Really, the only thing at the hospital that she ever reacts to, well, two things, is if the big, heavy pneumatic plastic tube falls down behind the nurse's
Those
station.
are always weird, yeah.
It's loud, and she'll just sort of cock her head. That's it. But if she's next to a copier and it starts printing,
That's weird.
which is weird because it's like a quiet
Quiet print.
sound,
Yes,
but
yes.
it's still, that's one of the two things at the hospital that she will just react to and be like, what is
Yeah, those
that?
pneumatic tubes are
Other
are
than that,
evil.
she's fine
Yeah.
with beeps, well, not sirens. She's okay with them, but she starts singing with them.
Okay.
She's got some huskies, so if there's a siren, it's on. But she's really not afraid of any of the
Yeah.
noises.
Now, when you go into a patient's room, for example, what's necessarily the course of doing, the course of action? Just have the dog sit there? Or no, does the dog jump on the bed?
No, not
because
well.
the patient's in the bed and the dog's on the floor. How
Right.
does or unless the patient's in a chair.
Normally, when we're at the hospital, we walk around. If a door is open and it looks like somebody's awake, I'll stick my head in and say, "Would you like a visit from a therapy dog?" If they say yes, then we'll go in. Nurses sometimes will tell us which rooms to go in as well. But what we do is she does not jump on the bed unless I tell her to, which is only if the patient and the nurse both say that it's okay and the patient really wants her on the bed. Then I will tell her paws up. She'll put her paws up first and then she'll jump up. So she's not just like jumping right on top of them. But most of the time I move a chair next to the bed and have her jump up.
Oh, okay.
And then she's bed level and they can pet her that way.
Well, what's so unique about Friday, and I just met Friday, so I'm not a long-standing friend necessarily, she has the most identifiable eyes. I mean, I have seen dogs and dogs and dogs, but this dog looks at you as to say, I know you, I understand you, I listen to you, I'm your friend.
Yeah.
And the eyes of that dog are what's especially amazing. And just the eyes, and I don't even like to call it therapy, I much prefer to call it a new friend.
Yeah.
And that dog has friendly eyes.
It's like she looks into your soul. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And each of our pets has a talent. One of my favorite stories is we had this little Italian greyhound in the program. Her name was Miley, but I called her
Miley.
Bug because she kind of looked like a praying mantis when she was just kind of hanging out. And she would go to what is called a chemo hut, so where the chemotherapy patients are getting their drug infusions. And her trait was she would go in and then choose somebody whose lap she was going to nap in, and they thought it was the best thing to have Miley choose them that day.
And she's a greyhound?
And she was an Italian greyhound, so a small one.
Oh, not the
and
large
so
one.
she,
Okay.
and they are skinny, cold-natured dogs because they've got no fur.
Yeah.
But also the patients that are getting chemotherapy get a lot of blankets and stuff put on them. And so she would crawl under the blankets and take a nap during her visit while her human would do the talk. Miley would nap, and that patient would just think it's the best thing in the world because they were chosen that day for the lap.
And see, the nice part is there's no language issue because the dogs don't
Right.
speak a language,
Yeah.
and the patient may speak a foreign language, and the dog
But they may not
say,
speak
matter.
dog.
What are you saying? What are you
Right,
saying?
right.
Yep.
And I think too that's good. You were talking about possibly the kind of dogs and the kind of humans that are good to volunteer and do this.
qualified.
As the human, I mean, I'm outgoing, but you don't necessarily have to be because the dog does the work.
dog will do
So
the
if you're
work.
very shy and you just really don't feel comfortable going into somebody's hospital room or a nursing home room or whatever, and just talking, for 10 or
You
15
don't have
minutes.
to.
You don't have to. All you have to do is introduce the dog and you're done.
Yeah.
Taking a little difficult subject, is the dog used for psychological patients who may have a trauma,
Yeah.
mental illness,
Yep.
for example?
We have had dogs at one of the area behavioral hospitals.
Okay.
We started with the teenagers and then worked our way into the adults. And really, the problem getting volunteers there isn't the dogs, it's getting a human that's okay
Will
walking into a
tolerate-
facility where it's locked, the doors are
locked
locked
facility,
behind them.
exactly.
'Cause
Somebody
they can
has to let them in every place.
Yeah, because that kind of freaks people out.
Oh, no
And so
question.
that is a hard placement for us to keep volunteers in just because of that locked issue. But the dogs are just like, it's a human.
They don't care.
They need me. I'm here.
I actually have had requests through St. Thomas Hospital. They will text sometimes because they know I'm going to be there every Friday. If there is a patient in the, especially the pediatric psych section, so we have gone specifically to visit teenagers and children who are at St. Thomas for some sort of psychological problem or evaluation, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's just amazing because they're sitting there in a dark room and everything, and then
Yeah.
Friday walks in.
Oh, we'll be right back. We're having a delightful visit with Karen and Vicky. And Friday. I've got to include Friday. But Friday is sound asleep on the floor, so Friday has no desire to be a radio personality, at least today. And for folks out there, get a piece of paper and pencil, because right after we come back from the break, I want you to write the phone number or the email address down, because this is just a wonderful way to give back to the community. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Chip Walters with Exit Realty Bob Lamb & Associates. You might know me as the voice of the Blue Raiders, but I want to be your trusted advisor in real estate. Whether you're buying or selling, it's time to choose Chip. Do you have a growing family and need to upsize? Are you an empty nester now and need to downsize? Are you thinking of selling your current home but just worried you can't find something else? Well, it's time to choose Chip. I'm looking to be your trusted advisor in real estate. I'm Chip Walters with Exit Realty Bob Lamb & Associates.
Hey guys, if you've noticed a lack of energy, motivation, and drive, it could be low T. Be sure to schedule your health assessment at Low T Center. For established patients, they offer the convenience of physician-monitored self-inject at-home testosterone treatments with an average payment of $150 a month cash pay, including labs and medication. If you need the convenience of at-home treatment, Low T Center makes it easy, shipping treatments directly to you. Go to lowtcenter.com now to book your appointment online. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Life is challenging and ever-changing. Take control with passive income through real estate investing. Learn how. Learn now. Let Del Walmsley and Lifestyles Unlimited's investors and mentors show you. Meet Del's team live in Chattanooga 2 days only at the Marriott downtown, Saturday and Sunday, May 4th and 5th. Register now at GiveMeTotalFreedom.com. That's GiveMeTotalFreedom.com. Enter promo code 2024 for a special discount offer. GiveMeTotalFreedom.com. Code 2024.
This is Good Neighbor Events with Bart Walker. Brought to you by the law offices of John Day and AmeriCare Pest Control.
This is a paid legal ad.
Hi, this is John Day of the Law Offices of John Day. I've lived and worked as a lawyer in Middle Tennessee for over 30 years, and to me, every single day has been an honor. That's why our firm is so involved with community programs like bicycle helmet giveaways and our Safe Ride Home program. At the Law Offices of John Day, we're not just looking to make donations. We want to make a difference in the community we hold so dear. And if you're ever injured, know that we are here for you too.
WGNS reminds you to shop local. That helps our local economy. Would you like to learn more about local history? Well, come on over to the one-room Ransom Schoolhouse this Saturday morning from 9 until noon. Members of the Rutherford County Historical Society are there, and they'll be talking local history, and all of you will enjoy free donuts and coffee. That's this Saturday, 9 until noon. And the one-room Ransom Schoolhouse is at 717 North Academy Street. And yes, it is free. Well, a brand new month is almost here, and on the first Monday of each month, the Rutherford County Beekeepers Association meet over at the Lane Agri Park. They're in the auditorium of the main building. Again, that's the Rutherford County Beekeepers Association, 7 o'clock on the first Monday of each month. And that's almost here. Speaking of things that are almost here, the Rutherford Arts Alliance is having a storytelling workshop. That's on Thursday evening, April 4th, 6 o'clock in the evening at the Technology Engagement Center. Those are WGNS Good Neighbor events.
Rutherford weather.
We'll see sunny skies here this afternoon with a high into the mid-60s. Winds out of the north at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tonight, mostly clear and a low near 36. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki on News Radio WGNS. Currently, it's 43.
Middle Tennessee Electric organizing Rutherford County's 23rd annual Earth Day celebration Saturday, April 20th, 10 to 2 on the Murfreesboro Square. Check out the Kids Zone, hands-on games and activities, free fun for the whole family. More online at rcearthday.com.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, and worldwide at WGNSradio.com.
This is Bill Krause on the second segment of the Roundtable WGNS on a beautiful Thursday morning, to say the least. We're visiting with Vicki Baldwin from the Healing Cypress Massage and Wellness, as well as Karen Armsley.
It's like Ramsey for dyslexics.
Okay.
Armsy.
Yeah.
From the Human
Animal Bond.
Animal Bond of Tennessee, Habit. Not only a fascinating subject, but something that really could have tangible effects on people. Give your contact information so that hopefully you can write it down, because if I had a dog, I'd be holding my hand up and saying, hey, that's something I'd like to do.
You know, we are always in need of more volunteers. And the easiest way to get the information is to email me. And the email address is habit, HABIT, at utk.edu.
Oh, are you officially part of the university?
We are.
Oh, okay. I
We
didn't
are.
quite get that in the original introduction. So you are an outreach.
We are an
of,
outreach
UT.
program of UT's vet school.
Wow.
And they are a huge help for us because we always, they let us use the facilities. They cover our volunteers with liability coverage, which is very important in today's world, is the liability coverage. And, you know, we're good PR for the university. So they've always been very kind to us.
Do you take the dogs to a football game in Neyland Stadium?
You know, that would probably be the one thing I could get my husband to do, is take the dog to the football game. But we work a lot with the students, especially during exam time, because of the stress that they're undergoing. And we have teams that work at the library. So one at the music library, one at the law library, some at the main library, and some at the ag campus library. Because the students come in, they visit with the dog, their stress is relieved, and I did not realize how much stress was going through until the first time we worked Hodges Library, which is the main library on the UT campus. And I had this big old Pyrenees named Nash. And Nash could work an event for an hour and not blink. And he worked an hour and a half at the library with the kids. And then we got to the house and he looked at me and he was like, no dinner tonight, I'm going to bed. And he slept for 16 hours.
Wow.
And that's just all that stress. They eat the stress of the people that they visit.
Now, does it matter what kind of dog it is, or the dogs you have are all sizes,
kinds.
types in nature?
As long as they have the heart for the work, we don't care. So we've got everything from teacup Yorkies to English Mastiffs. A lot are Golden Retrievers and Labs and Border Collies.
Ever have a St. Bernard?
Yes.
Oh, really?
And what
did it
cracks
have a
me
little
up?
Thing under its neck?
No, but it did carry a stuffed animal to soak up the spit.
So I didn't think about that.
Yeah, and like my Pyrenees, Hamish, he's a drooler, and so he wears a bib. And I've got a towel, and because he sheds so much, I've got one of those roller brushes. So I come prepared for battle when I'm visiting with the shed dog. But with my little dog, who is 20 pounds, she just comes in and she's like, "Hey, peace out. I'm here." She doesn't need the connection.
You basically only use the dog once a day, or do you do multi visits from time to time with the same dog?
I have, I go to both St. Thomas Hospital and Alive Hospice,
Mm.
and hospice is actually where we started. So I will do both of those usually on a Friday, but I still don't have her working for longer than a total of about 2 hours. So we'll do the hospital, we'll go to lunch, then we go over to hospice, which doesn't take as long, but she's very familiar with hospice.
Talk about, since that's such a significant role in the medical field, talk about Friday or any other dog's visit to a hospice and how the patients at a hospice respond.
Well, I personally started at Alive Hospice here because I was in grief counseling there at Alive Hospice for a loss that I had. And I was bringing Friday to my counseling sessions, and she was just sitting on the floor. And then it just sort of hit me one day, like, this could help other people here. So that's kind of how I got started in the very beginning, even training her. But going into a hospice is a lot, most of it, honestly, is for the families, because by the time someone does get into hospice, a lot of them are not aware or not able to communicate. However, there are people at hospice who are there for respite care or special some sort of treatment or something like that, that, are perfectly, you're able to visit with them for an hour, and they love it. But the staff and the families, obviously the families are going through the toughest time of anybody's life. And just having a dog walk in, especially if there are kids there with a grandparent, it breaks up that sorrow for just a minute. Gets them some stress relief, and they pet the dog a little, sort of calms everything down. But also for the staff, the nurses at hospice, all they see all day long, is families losing their loved one. And so the stress that they carry and the emotion they carry, man, I mean, it's as much for them as it is for the families.
And I always say, if I have an animal that's going into a healthcare situation, if the only people that they work with is the staff, then that's great, because healthcare is very stressful. Staffing shortages, all these fun things, and you bring a dog in that helps those staff members have a moment of normalcy in a very stress-filled day, can make the difference.
It would appear, and I don't want to identify Friday here, but it would appear that some of these dogs become longtime friends of the staff. And when the dog passes,
it's hard.
It would be very hard on the staff. What happened to Max? Well, Max is no longer
everybody
with us.
knows Friday at the hospital, and hospice especially. But when we have to miss a week because I'm out of town, or last week she missed because she had her little surgery on her eye.
Plastic surgery.
When we go back tomorrow, it's going to be
a joyous event.
Where was she last week? People just absolutely. It's expected, they know she's coming. Their volunteer coordinator will, as you were saying with the staff, sometimes text us and say, while we're there, and say, the nurses station on whatever floor east has had a tough day today. Could you take Friday up there to visit the nurses?
Wow.
And the dogs become attached to the people they're visiting.
Oh, they recognize and remember.
They do. And so at assisted living centers and things like that, if a dog's been going there for a while and gets to know their patients, they go to visit, and suddenly Sue is no longer there. And the dogs almost grieve that loss also.
Wow.
Yeah, they don't understand.
They
sniffing
keep
around, looking
Yep.
around.
Yeah, they're like somebody who's in the bed.
This is a weird question I'm going to ask you. Prisons. Do you do prisons?
We do not, but there are programs that have dogs in it, and there's some puppy raising programs in prisons and in jails that help the clients, the prisoners, learn how to train dogs, how to care for dogs, and make them realize that their behavior affects somebody else.
Right.
So, if they have an outburst and it scares the dog and makes them regress, then they see what their behavior has done to the animal, and it may help them interact with humans better.
Now, a person signs up. Is there a time commitment, contractual agreement in terms you must do this 6 months, must do this a year?
We kind of ask for a year because it takes a bit to get people started, getting into the, like you had to do volunteer training.
At the hospital. And,
So it can take a while. So we do ask for a year. But if you're a snowbird and you travel, just let us know, and we will set you up at a facility that's okay with that. So some nursing homes don't have a lot of training, and they're like, whenever you can make it is fine. So we set you at a nursing home, and you go visit them, and then you go do whatever you do, and then you come back, and it all starts all over again.
Here in Rutherford County, you mentioned St. Thomas. What other facilities, services are you doing in Rutherford County, since we'll localize it for a
I do
moment?
St. Thomas and Alive Hospice.
And I think that's probably it right
The
now
one
in Rutherford County.
I was just talking to the fire chief that was out there leaving when we came in, and I'm going to start stopping by the one of the fire stations near my house just to drop in. So that'll be just a whenever we're out anyway, we drop in, and I'll give the guys, girls, some treats, and they can feed her some treats, relieve some stress, and then we go. So that's like a 15-minute drop in.
And we would really love to become more active in this area. There are other therapy animal programs in the Nashville, Franklin area. And if that works for the volunteer, then I want them to go with that program.
Sure.
But I think that we are needed in the Rutherford County area where it's a lot more rural. We have the needs that are not being met. So hopefully our footprint will get a lot larger.
As you get talking, I was thinking to myself, when the last job I was city manager of Oak Hill, one of the employees brought his little dachshund in day by day by day. And Ace became a real fixture. Many times people come into a city hall, they're angry, they got a notice, a problem, and they'd come into the lobby, and Ace was there to greet them. Cute little dog, loved everybody, and Ace became a fixture.
He was a therapy dog.
Do you... in your organization, reach out to employers, for example, to have dogs at work?
It is hard to have a dog in your office. Being someone who takes my dog to work at least a couple days a week. And I work at the vet school, so my office is right in the middle of students and faculty and staff and craziness. And I have a baby gate at my door, and people stop and talk to the dog. And it takes some getting used to of people talking to your animal and you not having to pay attention to them, but still kind of having an ear if they ask you a question. But there is a program that we look at that we call All Day Dogs, and it's some guidelines. So how to make sure that we're looking out for the dog. So they have a place to go, a place where they can take a nap, a place where they don't have to be on the whole time they're in the building.
Under a desk or somewhere they can
so
be alone.
We just want them to, we don't want to overuse and burn out a dog, because you can burn a dog out.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I can imagine.
Friday does go to work with me sometimes, and same thing. She has a little corner with a bed and a water bowl, but today I'll take her with me after I leave here, and she'll stay in the bed for a little while, and then she wants to get up under the desk, up under my feet, in the dark, and go to sleep. But she just sits there, and it's nice. People come in and they're there for relaxation anyway, but they come in and get to pet a dog too. It's a bonus.
How would you, and I know you can't quantify it in data or statistics, but how would you evaluate the success of this program? How do you measure the smile of a patient? How do you measure the hugging of a puppy by a child who's in pediatrics? How do you measure it? Can you? Do you have any particular stories that stand out over the years that just not only touched your heart, but hit the strings of your violin to bring love and life to people of the world? One
of my stories that I always tell is about my Pyrenees Nash. And we had visited a cancer center, and one of the docs, it was the breast cancer center. One of the docs asked us to go into a room. He's like, I've just given a diagnosis, and they're having a hard time with it. Could you go in? So I took Nash in, and the person that got the diagnosis was a gentleman who was a retired Marine, and he was crushed. Here he is. He's a man. He's not supposed to get breast cancer. He's a Marine. Marines don't get cancer at all. We fight everything. And he was just panicked. They could not talk to him about anything at the time because of all the emotions he was going
exploded.
through. So my dog came in, he wrapped his arms around Nash and cried in his fur for about 20 minutes. And then after that was done, he sat up and he's like, okay,
let's take it.
let's do this.
Wow. See,
Yeah.
you're a nonprofit. You're an extension of UT. A lot of colleges, universities, even nonprofits for fundraising will have to try to quantify the results. Well, how many people did you see this week? You know,
And we do. I mean, we keep account of the number of,
Sure.
of people that we have had interactions with. And really, our interactions, and most of these numbers are pre-COVID. There's
Sure.
pre-COVID world and post-COVID world. We had about 400,000 contacts a year for years.
400,000.
Yeah.
Well, that's vast.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
And you know,
just within Tennessee.
yes, and
That's even more
just a
amazing.
section of Tennessee, not the whole state. And so, you know, COVID kind of killed us, but we are slowly getting back to the way where I would say, like this year, we'll probably have
Because we took about a year and a half off, I think.
Yeah,
for
it was
COVID.
hard.
It almost would have been a person without a dog and sitting at home. Hey, this would have been an
great time.
extremely great opportunity.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
at this
that's
point, how do you encourage facilities where your service would be so welcomed to reach out to you? Is there a effort to visit not only medical facilities, not only preschools, not only private schools, public agencies, and so forth? Is there a
Nursing
reach
homes.
out to say, you know, we would like to have you as a point of visitation?
Yeah, I think most of it is just letting them know that we're in the world. We are the busiest program that no one's ever heard of.
Wow. Wow.
You know, with 400,000 contacts, our dogs and teams are being seen all over the place. And once somebody becomes active in us, they're like, oh, I had a dog visit me when I was in the hospital, or my
Yeah.
son had a dog in his classroom.
People, yeah.
So it's
People
just them
knowing
learning
who
it.
we are. I know.
Yeah.
I have a friend who, and I mention it because I work with them as well. Because you were talking about dogs that go into jails, prisons.
Sure, prisons.
Canines for Christ is another one I work with, and they do that. But just mentioning that because my friend just started taking her dog to a nursing home. Looks a lot like Friday, black and white dog, border collie, but you know, brown
Same
eyes.
beautiful eyes.
So, someone at the nursing home asked her, "Hey, is that Friday?" Because he had been in the hospital and seen Friday the week before, and so people recognize the dogs
Yeah.
around. They really do, and eventually, like they know it's a black and white dog
Yeah.
with blue eyes. That must be Friday.
Gee, a candidate for public office should have a picture taken with Friday.
For real,
It's real,
I've literally
yeah.
been at the store with her before, and people have said, "Does that dog visit at the hospital?"
Yes.
I know her.
And the great thing is, they know our dogs.
Oh,
But they don't know
Couldn't tell you, and I don't care.
You know, I visited a location for 2
You're
years
carrying the
before they
leash.
asked my name.
I'm
And
the
I was
leash
just
care. I'm
like,
the chauffeur.
Yeah.
we'll be right back for a short break and having a wonderful visit with Vicki and Karen, who, in my opinion, just are doing I don't call it a service, I call it a human bonding with people through wonderful dogs. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
Untangling your headphones, finding the right remote, saying goodbye to your favorite shirt that hasn't fit in 10 years. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with auto owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. Auto Owners works with independent agents who live in your community and answer when you call, so you can worry about more important things, like finding a new favorite shirt. That's simple human sense.
Rayburn Insurance in Smyrna.
Come see me, Rick Hall, at Rayburn Insurance in downtown Smyrna today.
Online at rayburn.net.
Landfills are complex, dynamic, and ever-evolving environments. Our operators start from the ground up. Middle Point is a modern facility constructed with a highly engineered liner system that meets every safety and regulatory standard in the book. We're the subject of multiple at-random inspections, have active air quality, groundwater, stormwater, and solid waste permits, and are compliant with all local, state, and federal regulations. Learn more at middlepointlandfill.com. For public services, we are sustainability in action.
This is Kim Dunaway from Sunshine Nutrition Center. You hear me on Monday mornings at 7:20 talking about how to lead a healthier lifestyle. We carry supplements, personal care, and grocery items at both our Murfreesboro and Smyrna locations, family owned and operated since 1989.
Life is best when lived in motion, and Bud's Tire Pros will help keep you and your ride in motion and on the road while ensuring you're ready for any adventure that life throws your way. March 14th through April 2nd, get up to $80 via a Visa reward card, or you can get a Visa virtual prepaid card with the purchase of 4 new Michelin passenger or light truck tires. With Bud's Tire Pros by your side, you can continue to explore the unfamiliar.
Stop by and see us at Bud's Tire Pros today. See store for details. Offer ends April 2nd, 2024. Void where prohibited.
French's Shoes and Boots is the #1 place in Tennessee to find the latest Southern styles at unbelievable prices. We know you work hard for your money, so when searching for high-quality footwear that won't let you down, French's has you covered. We have a huge selection of casual and work shoes and boots at the best prices in town, guaranteed.
It makes good sense to shop at French's. French's Shoes and Boots.
1837 South Church Street in Murfreesboro.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, and worldwide at WGNSradio.com.
This is Bill Krause on the final third segment of the WGNS Roundtable on a gorgeous Thursday morning, and just having a delightful visit with two ladies whose love of what they do, not in the nonprofit state, but basically how they bring joy, happiness, and comfort to so many people. 400,000 contacts, state of Tennessee. Talk about the different types of dogs and related animals that are used not only for therapy, but are used for assistance so that there's no confusion of what the Fridays of the world do.
So there are 3 different types of working animals. There's a service animal, and those are dogs, according to the American with Disabilities Act. They are dogs and miniature horses only.
Miniature horses?
Miniature horses, longer lifespan.
Oh.
And if you need them for balance, they're much better for tall, big people, because if you're having a balance problem, there's a equation of how big the animal has to be to the person. And they are considered medical equipments like a wheelchair or crutches. So if it's a place that invites the public to come in, like a restaurant, a business, a store, I cannot tell you cannot bring in your service animal because...
Or somebody who's blind. I mean, that's normally what we think about.
So hearing dogs, psychiatric service dogs, diabetic alert dogs, seizure alert dogs, things like
blood
that.
Sugar.
Wow. And then there's an emotional support animal, and that's a relatively new thing, and they can be any type of animal. The person has to get a kind of a prescription from their doctor or their therapist saying they need this animal, and the only rights that those animals have is in housing and in transportation. And I would lay money on the fact that that's going to change transportation-wise, because people are playing the system and taking in turkeys and snakes and pigs on airplanes, and it's becoming a big mess.
I could see sitting next to a turkey. I've sat next to some human turkeys, but not turkeys.
And then there's therapy animals, and the therapy animal, depending upon the program, can be anything. We use dogs, cats, and rabbits. Other programs have different types of therapy animals, and they can only go where they're invited. So a program has asked us to come in to work with their clients or their staff, or we're going into a school to help the kids. So we have been invited in to work with the population.
Wow. And as you have stressed, this is a growing field as more and more therapy, post syndromes and so forth are identified. We're finding the use of animals so key.
We get a lot of bounce back from people who are like, well, in my day, when I was in college, I didn't need a therapy dog, blah, blah, blah.
You didn't have them.
Yeah. And the thing is it because that generation was mentally stronger, or is it because the younger generation realized they have an issue and they're asking for help? I think it's the younger generation is not sucking it up as much as we were taught.
Or knowing there's opportunities out there.
Yes.
That too.
You know, as you said, you're the best kept secret in Tennessee.
Yeah.
And to make that secret no longer, more people will take advantage of it.
Yeah, that's true.
What is there an average time that a volunteer dog or cat owner will be in the program? Or have you had people who've been there years?
I've been volunteering for 20-some years.
Wow.
Most teams tend to have one great dog, and then they work that dog, the lifespan of the dog, and then when the dog passes on, they're like, well, I don't have a dog that's right for the program right now. I'll contact you when it changes.
Yeah.
Or the time their life may change and they can't
Jobs
give
change,
you a Friday.
people move.
Do a lot of people do this on a weekly basis? Is that what you're
Most
saying?
people do it.
Okay.
And facilities like hospitals and nursing homes, they're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So most of them are happy to have a volunteer come whatever day they can do it.
And it's with what I do. I go every Friday, but I'm kind of flexible with it because sometimes if for some reason I have something going on a Friday and I can't get there in the afternoon like I usually do, then I'll go for the evening shift, which is actually good because those doctors and nurses hardly ever get to see a therapy dog because they come in at 4 and leave at whatever time.
Yeah.
So it's actually kind of good to sometimes switch it up and come at a different time. Or if I'm out of town on a Friday, I might throw in a Wednesday.
Yeah.
Hospitals are happy to see you whenever.
Exactly.
They don't, yeah.
Well, can I ask probably an embarrassing question? What happens if the dog has an accident?
It's happened.
It gets cleaned up.
I clean it up.
Okay,
You know,
It's not. Yeah.
we inform staff. Staff informs who they need
You
to
suddenly hear it over the
contact.
system. We need
need,
custodian,
housekeeping, yeah.
housekeeping to be in
Yeah.
room 212.
And they're dogs.
They're dogs.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
I try my best to always, if we have lunch at the hospital, I take her outside and whatever. But there's times when we have visited 3 different floors, and suddenly I realize, like, I think she's telling me, and so she'll have a little accident, and I'll grab some quick. I always have a bag that has
Good.
paper towels
Okay.
and little wipes, and then I'll tell somebody else that they need to have somebody come and disinfect that area. It happens.
Now, you said earlier we've talked the entire time about dogs. Tell me about cats.
Cats are.
They're an independent cuss.
They are a different creature, and sometimes we bring them into a facility, and there are dog cats. Cats that are just kind of like dogs, and they're just like they're walking on a leash, and they're like, "Hey, how you doing?"
But do they ever argue with each other?
Well, we visit one animal at a time, so we're not going to have a big
that's
group at a
important.
time.
Okay.
And then there are cats that come in strollers or they get carried around. And if I like a cat better than dogs, I don't care how the cat gets in my room. I'm just happy the cat's
Just
there.
have them lay on me and.
And then you can hold it. You don't have to worry about.
And I bet cats tend to curl up on people and go to
Yeah.
sleep more than dogs kind of tend, unless they're just really a lap dog,
Yeah.
probably tend to be a little bit more walking
And
around.
if they're just kind of exploring the room, that just brings joy.
Do patients want to feed them? The dogs or cats? I mean, they got a box of candy, a chocolate.
yes.
There are
And they got
nurses
a
stations at
Yeah.
St.
chocolate bear
Thomas.
and say,
Yes, they
uh,
keep dog treats.
And we try to have them not feed the animals because, especially like I had a golden retriever that if she knew that there was a snack in room 16, she was going to room 16, get
Oh.
her snack, and then she would leave.
That's amazing.
But so we were. I've done things where it's like I'll put it in my pocket.
Yes.
You can watch me when I leave.
Mm-hmm.
I'll feed it to her,
Yeah.
and it's. But there are some people that's really hard not to. Nurses stations.
She knows every nurse's station that has
Yeah.
treats, and they'll always give her a couple and then give me some to put in my pocket to take later. But no, she knows. She pulls me towards those.
Yeah.
She knows if I didn't have the leash on her, she'd know exactly
She'd be
every
running.
nurse's station to go
Yeah.
to that has treats.
At the KPD, there's a couple of officers who bring in like the really good treats. And so like on Thursday mornings, my dog doesn't get breakfast because I know she's going to be getting jerky and
Exactly.
treats.
Does the volunteer get treats too?
I mean, they offer me a donut occasionally, but not.
Okay.
We do. We get lunch at St. Thomas.
See?
Oh, okay.
Nice. I need
So
to go to
there
St.
is a
Thomas.
nice.
For any volunteer at St. Thomas, you can have lunch while you're there. Yeah.
Volunteers, all ages, all types, all sizes, and all nature.
As long as you have the heart for the work, kind of like the animals. If the human
What's
has a
the
heart
oldest
for the work.
volunteer? Can you recall that you've had?
In her upper 80s, and she
Wow.
had the largest Great Dane I had ever seen, and she was this tiny little woman.
And she could handle the Dane?
That Dane was just like, "Yes, ma'am, I will do what you want me to do."
Wow.
Yeah.
So people knew she was coming.
Yeah, there was no missing that dog.
Oh, in her late 80s.
Yep.
Bless her heart.
Wow.
And even at that point, her relating to patients would be very inspirational.
It was because they saw that she'd gone through some stuff in her
Sure,
life,
understand.
and she kind of made them see that bad things happen and you can move on. But she was also the kind of woman that would melt your heart.
Wow.
And she was just an amazing woman.
So what you're saying is, you ladies who have been with us a long time, you get as much out of the volunteer as you do of the animal.
Definitely.
In terms of the combination. Do you recall the longest somebody has been with you as a volunteer? Have you had people who they've gone through series of dogs, not just one dog, but a series of dogs?
I have had volunteers who get their replacement dog by saying this is going to be a good therapy dog.
Great.
So they adopt.
And they knew the signs to look for.
Yep.
One more time, give the email and a phone number if possible.
Okay.
And you're on Facebook and you're on all
we're on
social
Facebook.
media. Why don't you give that before we conclude?
Okay.
Because it's such a wonderful, wonderful program. I personally want to compliment the two of you and compliment those around you, because you truly are doing not just a service, but a heart sharing with a human being.
It's amazing the work that we do. I'm so blessed to know people like Vicki who changed the world that she's in. And our email address is habit, HABIT, @UTK.edu.
One more time.
Habit, HABIT.
Lowercase.
Yes, I don't think it matters. At UTK.edu. And then my phone number is 865-974-5633.
One more time.
865-974-5633.
We have thoroughly enjoyed having two lovely ladies here. Vicki Baldwin from the Healing Cypress Massage and Wellness. I'm probably trying to think how those words fit in the dogs.
Right.
but-
Well, that's just where I work part-time.
Oh,
and
okay,
Friday
I
does go to work with me some. So
I gotcha.
That's just where I emailed you from.
And Karen Armsley.
Armsy.
Armsy. Ley.
I probably am the only one in the state with that last
Without the
name,
L.
so don't worry about it.
I won't. And she's from the Human Animal Bond of Tennessee.
Correct.
Two ladies that are true heroes in our world. Thank you for coming.
Well, thank you for having us.
And we'll see you all next week. Bye now.